Joe Witt down, Kliff Kingsbury to go as we roll on with our Pick 6 here on the Hoffman Show, giving you the biggest storylines of the day, the best sound of the day, every day at 6 o'clock.
Number 4.
And Kliff Kingsbury, obviously, let's start with what he thinks of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a very, very, very good defense, ranked highly across the board. They're good against the run. They're good against the pass. They have gotten got a couple of times, but where does Kliff Kingsbury see the strengths of where this defense lies?
Yeah, taking the ball away and creating negative plays. They're coverage-wise very sticky in man coverage when they decide to do that, and then the pass rush, it doesn't leave you much room for error. So you have to be very precise. You have to stay on schedule, and there's going to be some plays that we got to find ways to get the ball out of our hands and not, take negative plays on first and second.
Staying on schedule, obviously huge. So not take any plays or not take negative plays on first and second down. Although Jayden has been really special at figuring out how to get them back on schedule. Also, the turnover piece is enormous. And Kliff was also asked on how his team has been able to eliminate turnovers this year at a literally historic rate, fewer than any team since 1933.
I would just say the individual pride and the collective kind of brotherhood of guys taking it to heart that, hey, when you're carrying the football, you're carrying the entire organization. And those guys, they own it in practice, they own it in the games. And then you have to have some fortunate bouts as well. I mean, everybody knows that.
That is true. They've had a lot of fortunate bounces because it's not like they haven't fumbled this year. They've just fallen on it. But some of that goes back to the brotherhood, if you will. Or I was chuckling at that line, Anthony. That's a funny line. We need you to understand that the ball is the organization. And when you carry it, you could fumble the entire organization. And Josh Harris will come down from his suite and want to have a word.
I feel like that's something like you would say like in a movie. It's very movie-esque.
Yeah. Your whole livelihood's in that ball, son. Wrapped in leather and lace. Wait, that sounded different. Sorry, we should probably rewrite that line. All right, I'm going to keep it moving as quickly as I can before I have my bosses come down from their suite and want to have a word. They've done a great job, but to wrap up that point before it got very sideways, like think of the Austin Eckler fumble where OZ's 50 yards down the field. Hey, the whole organization's 50 yards downfield. I better run with it. And guys have done a good job of hustling and staying on it, and recovering fumbles requires lucky bounces, but you can get a lot luckier when you're in the right place, and guys have been in the right place a whole lot on that front.
Number 5.
TJ Watt is in the right place at the biggest of moments all the time. He's a very, very unique player because I shouldn't say very, very unique. He's a very, very classic player. He is a guy that in the biggest of moments will pick his spots, maybe down to down. He's not all the way in all the time, or that's what he wants you to think. If he senses an opportunity, he'll go. But he sets up and saves his best rushes, his best moves, the thing he sets up, ram your head into a wall 25 times so that on play 26, when it's 3rd and long and you're backed up in your own end zone, he can get a sack fumble that one of his teammates picks up for a touchdown. That's the kind of player TJ Watt is, and that is the kind of player that can keep a defensive coordinator up at night.
Yeah, when I'm watching tape, when I'm sleeping, all of the above. He's a game wrecker. He's like on that level of certain guys around the league, the Aaron Donalds, I know he's retired, but where it's like, okay, going into that week, we've got to know where he's at on every play. And if we leave one play where he's not accounted for and given extra attention, then that's the play that can change the game. He's that down of a player, and he plays with that type of effort. So, yeah, definitely one that keeps you.
Yeah, keeps you up at night big time. How does that compare to the rest of the premier pass rushers around the league?
I'm pretty fearful of all of those guys. So, they all keep me up at night. So I think we've tried to protect as best we can against some of those guys, but there's a reason they're going to be Hall of Fame players. I mean, they've played a long time. They know how to kind of navigate the chips and the edges and still find a way to get it.
That said, think of the last couple that they've played. Dexter Lawrence, one of the NFL sack leaders, best nose tackle in the game, 0 sacks, 0 pressures in 19 pass rush attempts against Washington last week. It was the first time all season that he did not have a pressure. Myles Garrett was banged up when they played Cleveland, but he was still on the field, was pretty much a non-factor in that game. They have found ways time and time and time again this season to protect Jayden Daniels, for Jayden Daniels to protect himself. And whether that is play calling, good use of the run, the screen game, or more protection-specific things, chips, they have a plan. And I can't tell you how often I watch teams, I'm just like, they think they're playing just another slapstick team this week? Like, that is Hall of Fame player blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to have a plan for him. This team doesn't have a plan. Your regular offense ain't going to work. And Kliff always has a plan, and I appreciate that. Next week, the Eagles do not necessarily have one of those guys, but it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to put together a plan.
Number 6.
Because it's a short week. This, I presume, will be the last time we hear from Kliff Kingsbury this week, or before not just the game against the Steelers, but the game against the Eagles as well. So this will be the first time Jayden Daniels playing on a short week on Thursday Night Football. For a guy that relies so much on his routine, what kind of test is it for JD5 to get ready after the Steelers game on Sunday?
Yeah, it's a test for everybody. I mean, those Thursday games, as far as NFL coaches go, I'd say you kind of just throw your hands up and say, we hope we play really well, Like, that's – I've seen times that we didn't practice and you're almost like, well, maybe we should just do that shit every week, because it's like played really well. But, yeah, you walk through, you try to have as much carryover and as many things maybe that you've repped and didn't get to, in the game. So you have that back up there. But, yeah, it's never easy. So I don't think being a rookie is that much different. Honestly, it's a new experience every time you get one of those.
I think that's really interesting insight there from Kliff, and he can share it without really helping another opponent, because the whole point is no one will have seen it. So what he said was there's stuff that you rep but don't get to in the game. They go into every game with a certain number of plays up, right? You have the entire playbook. Let's say, just for kicks and giggles, there's 1,000 plays in the playbook, and you go in with 150 for that particular week. And sometimes you got 50 of them that are the same basically every week. Then you change out the other 100. And when we say plays, that could be different route combinations where, hey, this is a great cover 2 beater. This team plays cover 2. It's in this week. Oh, next week we got a cover 3 and man team. We're not even going to bother practicing that play this week. It's not going to be up. And sometimes coordinators will still call it. You're expected to know the entire playbook, but it's not one that you've repped during the week. And so what Kliff is saying there is, let's say there's a play that you get to, and sometimes it's combination, sometimes it's specific run, sometimes it's just formationally, hey, we're going to practice this play out of this formation this week because we like the matchups it creates, and then we don't actually get to it in the game. Well, if you don't get to it on Sunday, we just practiced it last week, let's run it on Thursday. That's the kind of stuff that I think is really good, innovative thinking to just try to be as efficient as you can in the process. And, of course, they are a team that does a ton of walkthrough work anyway. So will there be any major change to how Kliff installs the offense starting on Monday next week when they get ready for Philly on Thursday?
You just, me personally will install less, but there's stuff we've had throughout the season that maybe I can go back and find that fits. We repped it, so at least there's a commonality with our players have terminology and execution they've walked through. They practice it, and when you show the clips from previous practices, and to me that has always been something that makes me feel better. At least they've got some live full-speed reps before you go out there and try to do it.
So, yes, of course, you don't have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to practice, but you can use your previous practices. I think that's good coaching, good teaching, a really smart way to approach that from Kliff Kingsbury, who leads the Commanders out on the field on Sunday, and then will lead their offense again Thursday night against Philadelphia. Jayden Daniels, of course, trying to just continue what has been the greatest rookie year, arguably, in NFL history for a quarterback, and we'll see what they can do on Sunday. That is our